Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Could you put your hands together, please, for Scotland's King of Comedy, Mr. Hector Nicol.
Pack up all my underwear. I don't care if I go bare. Bye-bye, blackbird. You taught me how to dance and sing. You taught me how to do my thing. Bye-bye, blackbird. He took me to his cottage in the wild wood. Then the swiney took away my child. He was no gent, he was just a nyap. He never even took his bonnet off. Blackbird, bye-bye. Blackbird, bye-bye. Ta-ra-ra-boom-dee, did you get yours today? I got mine yesterday. That's why I walk this way. How do you like the outfit? Isn't it nice, eh? Big City and I would just get back from Majority. I was lovely over there. The sun was belting down, you know. See the lovely tan you get to, isn't it, marvellous? What a lovely tan. Isn't it gorgeous? Eh? Lovely over there. Of course, everybody's topless over there anyway, you know. The titsy flies were everywhere. Oh, really gorgeous, you know. Of course, Big Sadie and I, we don't worry about that because we used to be topless waitresses, you know. Big shot. There's a big advert in the paper that said, "Topless waitresses want." Topless, it was a misprint, you know. Surprising how many bastards answered it, you know, but this... I advertised for a sugar daddy. I've got 3 answers off a lollipop man. The Big City and I, we got a job in the only topless bar in Ireland. They had to close it. The customers were getting rain in their soup. Oh, man. It's a thankless task, that, you know. See the topless, everybody keeps pinching your tips and that. It's murder. Big City one night, Big City, I was standing at the door, you know. And Big City was scratching her ears, you know. And and this fella said, "Have you got hemorrhoids?" She said, "No, just what's on the menu." Oh my God. This big fella. There's a big fella that kept shouting at me all night, he did. He's shouting, "I want toad in the hole, I want toad in the hole." Well, luckily I had these painted shoes on, you know. And, oh, Big City and I got a sack, you know. Oh, he was terrible. But when we got back home, Big Sadie said to me, she said, "Why don't we go down to London and go in for the Miss Britain contest?" I said, "The Miss Britain?" I said, "My man wouldn't stand for that anyway. See, my man, he does bird imitations, you know. Whenever there's a cock near my nest, he watches me like a hawk, you know." And he said, "It's terrible." Terrible, man. He said to me, "You were the young bird when I married you." I said, "No, but according to what I got, I was a bloody early one." Big Sadie and I, we went down to London. We might as well have stayed at home, you know. See, we're all down there. They were all sponsored, you see. Well, nobody would sponsor us except the Blind Asylum, you know. what are I doing there, you know? Miss Electrolux, she was there, you know. She lay on her back and got a hot point. And that's... What are I doing there? Big Sadie said to me, she said, look at her there, Miss Kaiser Bonder. She's got a big rip in her tights. I said, that's nothing. Miss Durex is out there with her forbearance. Miss Andrews Liver, she was there too. Big Lucy Bowles. That... And... What are I doing there? Miss Interflora, she won it. What the judges want to get Interflora, you know. But she went. She had a lovely figure. Mind you, she was a brazen hussy. She went in right in front of the judges with nothing on. Staggered through like that, you know. And she stuck a poppy in her behind. The judge said, what's the idea of the poppy? She said, that's in memory of those that died at the front. Oh, really? I've had a laugh. With a right laugh, you know. Mind you, I enjoyed it. They did all sorts of things. They had a fancy dress ball. Big Sadie, she went as a pile of pennies. Somebody took her outside and found she was a pushover, you know. There was a Catholic girl there. She took the pill and went as a Protestant. And that's big. What am I doing there, you know? This big judge said to me, he said, let's go as Adam and Eve. He said, I'll be Adam, you be Eve. I said, don't be stupid. I said, me Eve? I said, you know Adam and Eve were Irish? He said, how do you make that out? I said, well, he looked at her and said, oh, here. And she looked at him and said, oh, tool. Here, listen, here. He said, he said, well, I'm going as Adam. I don't care about you. He said, I'm going as Adam. He said, but I can't get a leaf big enough to cover me up. I said, well, stick it out of your shoe and goes a petrol pump. Oh, the drink was flowing. Oh, the drink we had that night, I'm not kidding you. And I've got to watch Big Sadie because she's got a drinking problem, you know. She lost her straw. Big Sadie, she invented the burn the bra movement. She got drunk one night and fell in the ashtray. And, oh, she had a drink. She awakened the next morning. I didn't know where I'd been and anything, you know. Awakened in this strange house in a strange bed with a strange man. I said, was that tight last night? He said, only the first couple of times. I said, there must be easier ways of making a living, you know. I mean, I think we could go on to these adverts on the television, you know, like, what has a hazelnut in every bite, you know. Pure milk chocolate, a sheer delight. It looks like chocolate and it tastes like shit. Like that. I like them all. I could do all these, you know. Like a million housewives every day pick up a tin of beans and say, beans means... One finger of fudge is just enough to keep your girls a treat. Woo! You need starch to stiffen up your dicky, you know. I could do all these. You need starch to make it stay that way. If you start your dicky in September, it will still be stiff in May. Oh, I'd sell some stuff and I'd tell you, I'll tell you. But you see, Actually, it's the prostitutes I feel sorry for. I mean, they always get it hard, don't they? And I mean, they're never on strike, mind you. They're getting rises all the time. They don't vote at elections, they don't care who gets in, you know, but that's... See, that's... I know a prostitute who picked up this wee Chinaman and he took her back to his hotel, you know, and they got in the room and they went to the window, opened the window and they started deep breathing. Then he went into bed for a half an hour with her. He said, me belly tired, me belly tired. He went to the window again, opened the window. And he rolled under the bed and went up the other side, started again. He did this about 5 times. Under the bed, up the other side. And finished up, she said, me belly tired. And she got up and went to the window like that. And she looked under the bed and there was 5 Chinamen there. Here, listen, here. Me feel sorry for him, you know. Look at that lot that was in the church down there, doing that in England there. You know, there were about 20 of them in the church, and the minister was praying for them, you know. He'd been praying for one for years. You feel sorry for them. I tell you, see, manicurists, now, if they have a strike, they have a show of hands. And chiropodists, you know, they have a show of feet. And toolmakers, they had a secret ballot. But that's... You managed to get a delivery, Glenda.
Have you seen the old bag who wanders through the city, picking up the punters if they're that way inclined? She's selling off her sex, she'll even take your probby checks. Her drawers are in her handbag with a gill load of wine. So how can you tell me she's lonely? And say for her the sun don't shine. She will take you by the hand and lead you to the promised land. No VAT, just a 5 at a time. So if you go down Soho way, any evening, any day, and you think that sex is dirty, it's a bit of a bind. If you feel that you are turning queer, and you have a homosexual fear, she'll show you something to make you change your mind. Ooh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, you're lovely. You know, the next time I saw Big Sadie, she said he proposed to me last night. I said, did he? I said, did he go down on his knees? She said, no, up in his elbows. I said, where did he come from, Sadie? She said, he's a Greek. And she says, sex with him, it's so smooth. I said, it should be. It's been in Greece all its life. I said, what did he do for a living? She said, he's an oil king. I said, did he? Oh, she said, aye, that's one up in Sweaty Betty. She married a cattle king. I said, aye, and I married a fur king. Cowboy. Huh. My man's aye nagging at me. He came in for his work there. He said, I was late for my work this morning. I said, I know. He said, how do you know? I said, the boss told me. Oh, he said, did he? He said, I got a sack. I said, I know. He said, how do you know? I said, the boss told me. He said, screw the boss. I said, I did you starting Monday again. Yeah, look. I've had my moments. I hope these power workers don't go on strike again. Mine the last time I was on Blackout and I'm walking along the road and I bumped into this big fella. He said, oh, I'm sorry. He said, I can't see my hand in front of me. I said, it's all right, I know where it is. He said, I'll see you home. He took me into a cemetery. I did all the gravestones and that, you know, he must have thought it was a stone cert, you know. And they laid me down in a gravestone. And I looked up, I said, under these stones lies Mary Jones, but do not stop to wonder. These are not the only stones that Mary Jones lay under. And I'm lying back in bed, lying back there, and see the stains on your back, it's sore at, you know. And he's just going to do something, you know. I thought, well, I might as well enjoy it anyway, you know. This big policeman come up with his torch. He said, what are you doing? The boy said, nothing. He said, hold my bloody torch. He said, he said, we're only naked. He said, well, put your neck back and your trousers to be quiet. See, the next day, my back was killing me. Oh, and I went to the doctor. I said, doctor, it's my back, it's my back. He examined me. He said, I don't know about your back, but your earth died in 1812. It's going to be sadly missed. He said, I'll have to take you in for observation. When they took me in, by God, they had a bloody good look, you know. Gave me all these tests, you know. I had a tonsillectomy and I hated that, and a hysterectomy, that was worse. And I didn't mind the slip of dick to me. They gave me a local anaesthetic and I didn't know I had it in me. Oh, it's murder. This. Oh, it's murder. Then this big nurse came up, she said, you're all right, it's only wind. I said, what do you think, you used a bicycle pump? I said, you get me the head doctor. She said, there's something wrong with your head. I said, bring the surgeon here. I said, the surgeon, I said, you've had me in for a week here. Look, I've given me all these tests. I said, you've shaved me all over. I said, look at that. What do you think of that? He said, it looks 10 years younger. He said, oh. They just do what they like with these doctors. Give you a couple of pills and send you away, you know. This woman came in, she said, doctor, you have to take me off these male hormone tablets. He said, why? She said, I'm getting hair in my chest. He said, how far is the hair down? She said, right down to my balls, on my feet. You don't mind if you got a good figure now, it's not so bad, you know what I mean? I used to be a ballet dancer, that was, you know. I used to dance on one leg like that and dance on the other leg, and between the two I made a living, you know. But that's... I know. And the girl, she's got nothing up here at all. You know what I mean? She tried everything to massage and Harvey's Bristol cream and she tried a lot. And she wouldn't wear falsies. Now, you know the difference between falsies and the real thing, you know. Falsies taste like rubber. And this... Anyway, this girl, she was passing by an antique shop one day. And she saw in the window, it said, ancient Chinese mirror enlarges everything. She said, well, I've tried everything else, I'll get this mirror. And she bought the mirror and she stuck it beside the door. See? And she took her bra off like that, see? She stood in front of the mirror, she said, magic mirror near the door, make my bus line 44. And they popped through just like that. And she was standing with her hands full, you know. And she suddenly thought, if this worked for me, what about wee Wally? And wee Wally was well named, I'll tell you. Seen a bigger woodbine. And they had... And it was... And wee Wally... Wee Wally was just coming out of the bath at the time, so she grabbed him by the ears, you see. And she stuck him in front of the mirror. She said, Wally, say the magic word. He said, magic mirror near the door, make my ding-a-ling touch the floor. And his legs fell off. Yeah, laugh, didn't you? Laugh. Thank God I can go back to my man, you know. See, my man is very kind to animals, my husband, you know. He's a butcher. I'll tell you, one more tell him how I met him. What would be? I was standing at the corner, watching all the boys go by. Standing at the corner, giving all the boys the eye. And there he was, just a-walking down the street, singing do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy. His hair so long, he had dandruff upon his feet, singing do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy. I wore an itsy-bitsy teeny-weeny yellow polka dot bikini. And he was seeing me in all the old familiar places. And I said, how do you do what you do? You put your left hand in, and you take it all about. You do the okey-okey and you turn the thumb. That's what it's all about. And the moment that you feel that way too. He just gives you the old 1-2 in a shady nook by a babbling brook. He loved me as he'd never loved before in the merry, merry month of May. But it's a long, long time from May to December. I'm just carrying it for a friend. I walked into the mother care shop. I said, have you got everything for the expectant mother? She said, yes. I said, can you get me a man? The big notice up, I said, you knock them, we frock them. And the days grow short when you reach September. Do not forsake me, Joke McFarlane. Suddenly, he's not half the man he used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me, because my girdle's killing me. Oh, child, and I
like Harry will have to be left on the steps of a nunnery. Instead of sitting, I'll be knitting. Well, that's what I get for submitting. There'll be a big Grammy the day I wed Sammy McGee. 'Cause I'm getting married in the morning. Ding dong, the bells are gonna chime. Pick up the rumpet and don't lose your foot. Get me to the church. Get me to the church. For God's sake, get me to the church. Oh, hey! Good. Thank you, darling. Oh, my God. Thank you sincerely. That's the biggest dose of claps I've had for a long time. Really. You're awful good to me. You're very. But you see, there's more to marriage than sex, you know. Hope I'll live long enough to find out what is. The next time I met Big Sadie, she was crying her eyes out. I said, "What's wrong with you, Sadie?" She said, "I've only been married 3 months and I've had it up to here." I said, "You're bloody lucky." She said, "I want a divorce." I said, "You need grounds for that." She said, "Well, he's cruel to me." I said, "How do you make that out?" She said, "Well, we were having a wee matinee in the bed the other afternoon. Wee sexy matinee," she said, and the doorbell rang and he answered the door. I said, "What's cruel about that?" She said, "He took me with him." She said, "I didn't ask for a carry, you know, but oh. But it's a terrible thing. I mean, marriage is give and take, you know. Like the fella next door to me, he was painting the bathroom for his wife. You know, he was painting away there and they varnished the toilet seat. And his wife didn't know. And she went in to have a bath and she took her clothes off and she sat down before she went into the toilet, into the bath, you know. And she stuck like that. She couldn't get off. Oh. She said, "Hey, Wally, come on, help me. She said, "For this shit, I can't get off, I can't." And he went in and he said, "What can I do?" And they got a screwdriver and they took it off with the hinges. And she's walking about like that, you know. He said, "Maggie," he said, "that's the first time I've seen it framed. It's lovely." He said, "I knew you'd come at a sticky end, but that's ridiculous." She said, "Stop making jokes, do something." He said, "I don't know, I'll only get a fire brigade or something." She said, "Well, give me something to cover me up." And they gave her a bowler hat. And she walked about with a bowler hat. And the big fireman came in and said, "Oh," he said, "that's serious." He said, "I managed to save your wife, but I'm afraid the fella in the bowler hats are gone already." But a woman. Oh dear. See, the woman doing the street fair, she had a lot of trouble with her boy. See, her teenage boy was ice swearing. Swearing at all is terrible. And he was on the bus with his father. He was on the bus with his father one day and he's sitting there and this big blonde walked in with big, you know. And he said to his father, he said, Hey, Peter. He said, "You seen the tits of that blonde?" And his father said, "Shut up. He gets thrown off the bus." He said, "Language like that, that's terrible." And he got home with his wife, he said, "You have to do something about that boy. You want to hear his language in the bus." He nearly got us thrown off. She said, "It's all right, he's going to wait in the Navy for a couple of years. I'll sort him out." He came back and left for the Navy and he's sitting in the bus with his father again. And another big blonde walks in, you know, never opened his mouth. Father said, "Well, the Navy's taught him something anyway. I'll try him out." He says, "Hey, son, have you seen the tits in that blonde?" His son said, "Tits nothing, I've seen the arse in the bus driver."
Here, listen, here. I mean... What a laugh. In the name of... Murder, innit? So I'll tell you, I was up a story there, but... See, the nurses didn't get a rise, and that's terrible. Big Sadie and I used to be nurses, you know. I was in the men's ward, you know. And you don't have to ask them how they're feeling in there, you know. There was one in there. His horns were everywhere. I think he was a horn man for the Sunday Post. He said to me, he said, if you don't make up the bed properly, he said, you and I are going to fall out. There's another one there, he said, my wooden leg's killing me. I said, how can your wooden leg be killing you? He said, well, the night nurse keeps hitting me with a head weight. When I first went in there, you know, when I first went in, they didn't call it a bedpan, they called it the vase. And this fella said, nurse, fetch me the vase. I said, certainly, sir, how big is your bookie? Well, we had a toon councillor in there. He was in for his graft, you know. And he said to me, nurse, he said, take away this bedpan. And I took it away. He said, you know, I've been in a council for 7 years, and that's the first motion I've had passed and carried it. We used to get them off, man. Oh, an old woman came in with her man one day. This old man, poor old soul. She said, he's got one foot in the grate. I said, you mean one foot in the grave? She said, no, the grate is going to be cremated. And we put him in this bed beside a fella that stuttered. And this fella said to him, hey, Geordie, what are you, what's wrong with you? And that boy said, I've got prostate trouble. He said, what's prostate trouble? That one said, I'll peel it, you talk. This other boy said to me, he said, you got an operation? I said, aye. He said, well, you better watch because that big surgeon, he said, he left a scalpel inside me and they had to operate again. Another boy said, aye, and he left a big wad of cotton wool inside me and I had to operate again. And just as that, the surgeon popped his head through the door and he said, nurse, have you seen my golf clubs? Of course, Big Sadie, she was a belle of the ball, Big Sadie. Her knickers were eye-ringing, you know. Big Sadie. She's absolutely stupid. She thought innuendo was an Italian suppository. She's man mad, Big Sadie. Used to leave food in the windowsill for Pete and Tom's, you know. She said to me one day, she's here. She said, see that fella in the fourth bed down there? I said, aye. She said, he's got Ludo tattooed in his dingling. And I said, don't be stupid, that's Londudno. Of course, that's the latest craze now. Getting tattoos on your dingling. I know a fella got a fish tattooed in his dingling, a fish. I said, hey, what's the idea of fish in your dingling? He said, I'm going with a Catholic girl and she didn't have meeting on Friday. I used to get them all in there. We feel sorry for a woman getting in there. We were transferred to the maternity. Now, they were awfully busy in there, they were stock taking, you know. And I saw these hormone tablets that women are getting. They're having 3 and 4 and 5 at a time, you know. And I went out with this boy one day with 4 of them. I said, congratulations, it's quads. He said, I'll get a letter for the Queen. I said, you'd be better getting one for the chemist. I went out with this wee black baby one day. The lovely wee black baby, it's beautiful. And I said to this boy, is this yours? He said, no, that's no mine, it's no mine. I went to another boy, said, is that yours? He said, no, that's no mine, it's no mine. I went to this boy, said, is this yours? He said, aye, that'll be mine. My wife burns everything. You get. The dogs are very strict, aren't they? Strict. There were 3 women in the postnatal there with their babies, you know. And this big surgeon came in, he said, he said, you smoke too much, that's why you called your daughter Virginia. And he said, he says, and you drink too much, that's why you called your daughter Sherry. And the third one said, come on, Fanny, we didn't come here to be insulted, come on, here he is. You feel sorry for it. Women have always got to take all the pills and that. I know one woman in there, she had that many pills, they couldn't operate on her, you know. She kept rolling off the table. I tell you, honestly, you go in there and see this woman went to her head, and she wanted to commit suicide, you see. And she decided to shoot herself through the heart, but she missed because her heart wasn't on with at the time, you know. And she went. And she went up to the doctor, she said, Doctor, what's the exact position of my heart? He said, your heart is exactly 2 inches below your left breast. She went home and shot off her left kneecap. You feel sorry. This woman, she wore a cross her belly button bra, you know. She said, but this woman I know, I mean, you go in there and you're expecting a boy or a girl or a poof or something, you know. Now, all she got was a wee heat. But it was a nice wee heat. Called it Peter, you know, Peter Heat. And had lovely curly hair, beautiful curly hair. Used to shampoo it every day. Norway head and shoulders. That was nice. People used to come for miles just to see this wee heat because he was a rare singer. You never heard anybody singing, I ain't got nobody like him. It's great. And believe it or not, see that wee heat, I lived till I was 21. 21. When all the people running about said, well, a wee whip round for him, you know. £2 a head, you know. And no run about saying he's 21 today, 21. Because he was a wee stutter, you know. And his mother, said, wee heed, you're the nicest wee heed we've ever had. And we're going to give you a lovely present for your birthday. He said, no, another bloody bonnet, for Christ. But I said, no. We're going to take you out and do the town. I said, and they got this carrier bag. And they took him down to the pub. It was the first time anybody ever had a carry-in. And they said, wee heat, what are you going to have? He said, I'll have a wee hoff. And they gave him this wee hoff, and you'll never believe the transformation. He started to grow shoulders and arms and legs, and before he knew it, he was standing there like Superman. Of course, it was Long John Whiskey, mind. But they said, this is fantastic. We should have given him whiskey before. Look at him, he's a fully grown man. We'll just give him one for the road. He can walk home himself for the first time. And they gave him one for the road, and he disappeared in a blue flash like that. Nothing. And the moral of that story is always quit while you're ahead. But you see, women, you see, women are going for the diets now, eh? My mother, she's bored of her stomach, you know. She can't get her knickers out of it. And she's... This big fat woman came into the doctor. She said, "Doctor, I've tried all the diet." She said, "I can't get it over. I can't get the weight off at all. I can't get it off." He said, "Well," he said, "I've only one diet left." He said, "You've got to watch it because it's got side effects." She said, "I'll try it anyway," she said. "What is it?" He said, "Well," he said, "you're not fed through the mouth. You're fed rectally. Directly, you know." And she said, "I'll try it." And she came back in a month's time, she was 8 stone 6. She went in the doctor like that. She said, "Oh, doctor, that's a wonderful, oh, what a beautiful, it's great." She said, "Look at me, I'm 8 stone 6, a glamorous girl, look at that." She said, "Great." He said, "No side effects." She said, "No." "Marvellous, it's great." She said, "Great." He said, "What are you doing that for?" She said, "I'm just finishing a caramel." Now this... What a game, isn't it? Oh, it's hard right now. But see, some people think that nurses don't. I mean, nurses they're very technical nurses. They've got to go through exams and things like that. And there was 3 of them going through this final exam with a big surgeon. And the big surgeon took the first year in. Not the second year or the surgeon, the first year. And he said to her, he said, "Now look," he said, "what are the 3 most important things in a man's body?" And she said, "Well, there's the heart." He said, "Quite correct." She said, "The lungs." He said, "Quite correct." She said, "And his dingling." She said, "Quite correct. Stand over there." And the second one said the same, the heart, the lungs, and the dingling. And the third one was like Big Sadie. A wee bit stupid. And he said, "What are the 3 most important things in a man's body?" She said, "I know that one, don't tell me, I know it." She said, "I know it." She said, "The heart." He said, "Quite correct." She said, "Wait a minute, I know it, no, wait a minute." "The lungs." He said, "Quite correct." She said, No. She said, "I know it, don't worry." I know it, don't worry about that." She said, "I had it in the tip of my tongue last night." Listen, here.
I know a millionaire who's burdened down with care. A load is on his mind.
Fella come up to me the other day, he said, "Would you like to buy a leopard skin coat?" I said, "What's it like?" He said, "It's spotless."
He's thinking of the day when he must pass away and leave this world behind.
What sticks out of a man's pajamas you can hang your hat on? His head.
I haven't any gold to leave when I grow. Somehow it's passed me by.
It's the difference between a contraceptive and a coffin. They both got stiffs in them, but one's coming and the other's gone.
I'm very poor, but still I leave a precious will.
She married William for his will, then she married Dick.
When I must say goodbye,
As Dracula said to the school teacher, see you next period.
I leave the sunshine to the flowers. I leave the springtime to the trees and to the old folks. I leave a memory of a baby upon a knee. I leave the nighttime to the dreamers. I leave the songbirds to the blind. I leave the moon above to those in love. When I leave the world behind.
As Confucius once said, better to sleep with old hen than pullet. And until we see you again, I leave you with this thought. If a light sleeper sleeps lighter with a light on, does a hard sleeper sleep harder with a blinder? And as one hockey stick said to the other hockey stick, let's get the puck out of here.
When I leave the world behind,
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hector Nicol.
Thank you. My goodness me. Thank you. My God. You're fantastic. And this time I'd like you to thank my wonderful orchestra here. Just behind me. Double top. Pete and Alec on the organ. Pete there. And Alec on a drum. Thank you very much. You've got to have a good backing. Liberace always said that. But I must say, I used to sing that one, I mustn't leave my friend behind, you know now. Or it's hard when I think of you, dear. But see, the last organist I had was a wee bit queer. He damaged his organ trying out a new hymn. But it's a hard game, isn't it, when you're away. No. Look at that, see, listen, here. But that fellow walked in the pub with a wee dog. The barman said, you can't come in here with a dog, he said. Boy said, but see, I'm blind, that's my guide dog. Oh, he said, I'm sorry, sir, he said. Here, have a couple of drinks in the house, he had a couple of glasses of whiskey, and he went out and said to his pal, just go in with a dog, you get a free drink, just go in with a dog. Tell me, you know. The boy said, well, lend me a dog. He said, no, don't take that one. He says, you'll recognise the dog. Now, that fellow went in with a wee chihuahua. He walked in, the barman said, you can't come in here with a dog like that. He said, that's my guide dog. He said, I thought all these dogs were, you know, Labradors or, you know, Alsatians and that. The boy said, what kind did they give me? This. You're wearing your seatbelts. I always thought a seatbelt was a lady chauffeur, you know. But this Yeah, but that fellow brought a brand new Jaguar, a new Jaguar. With his girlfriend in it. Right out there, half an hour out, bang, right in a lamppost. It wrapped her right round a lamppost. When the policeman got up there, the boy was had his seatbelt on and was moaning away like, oh, oh. And his girlfriend was right through the windscreen. The policeman said, what are you moaning about? He said, look at your girlfriend, she's right through the windscreen. He said, you've got your seatbelt on. He said, what are you moaning about? The boy said, have you seen what's in her hand? You never know, do you? Ah, God. Ah, but never mind. You like what? You like my legs? You want them? Oh, it's nice. It's nice. I've got nice legs, haven't I, eh? You've got a lovely leg, that, eh? That's one thing about me. I always do it my way, you know.
And now the end is near. Goodbye to all those city slickers. My friends, I make it clear I did it all without my nylon. I've made a pound or two. I've done my bit, not in a shy way. And friends, believe you me, they did it my way.
On credit.
Regrets I've had a few, but then again do not disparage. It's all been very nice, though once or twice I've missed my carriage. I've asked each city gent, each night who went along the byway, and if they had the dough, they all use my way. For what is a man? What has he got? Well, some are blessed. My record shows